Hello guys, thank you for being here. Thank you Coralie and Jérôme for the invitation. I am Laurent, I'm part of a French hub in the north of France, near Liège, and we are, as I said yesterday, doing exactly the same thing as the people of California Music Tech, but also in audiovisual and gaming. I have the pleasure to talk about music tech and something really specific, datas and metadatas. So before introducing my guest, maybe a fast poll. Who feels comfortable about this question of datas and metadatas in music industry? When I say comfortable, you know what it is, you use it, okay. And who thinks now, but what are they talking about? What is the fuck? Who? Yeah, maybe a little bit shy, nobody. Okay, we're going to try to have some precise talk with maybe some good advices and talking about the latest changes about these questions of datas and metadatas. But if it feels like a sci-fi movie, you will have some question at the end, maybe to precise some things. So, thank you guys for being here. Maybe taking 1 minute to present yourself, who you are, what are you doing, what is your company doing?
Yeah. Oh.
Juliette.
Hello, so I'm Juliette. I work for Music Story. There's a little error. It's with an Y and not IES.
It's only one story.
Yeah, just one story. Us, it's our main job. We provide metadata only for music. We exist since 15 years now. We are based in north of France, in Lille. We deal with metadata mainly and every day. So we provide descriptive metadata to enhance the user experiences, but also identifiers and everything that can help for identification of the data, and ultimately helps for the collects and the right match of the artists, tracks, etc.
Laetitia.
Yeah. Hi everyone, thank you to be here. I'm Laetitia from Playright. I'm working at the members and repertoire departments for national and international exchange. So Playright is the collective management organization for neighboring rights and for performing artists in Belgium.
And neighboring rights is a special problem in the question of
ACA-related rights for... So no the copywriting, but for the performing artists, dancer, musicians, but everyone that play music.
David?
Yes, hi, I'm David. I'm the Vice President of Music and Artist Strategy at Epidemic Sound. Epidemic Sound is the leading music and sound provider for creators of video content. Our wholly owned catalog of 45,000 tracks is heard over 2.5 billion with the B times per day across YouTube and TikTok alone. My role at Epidemic Sound is managing how we work with our catalog, how we add to it, what types of artists, what type of music, and how we can use data, metadata, and other emerging technologies to make that job easier and more fun. I come from a music background, been playing drums since I was 6, kind of stumbled into record production, stumbled once again into A&R research, and now I'm here with all of you in beautiful Liège.
Hello, I'm Pierre Niboyet. I'm with Music Tomorrow. I'm in charge of business and industry relations there. We help artists, labels get their music more discoverable in Spotify, DSPs, thanks to technique that you can compare with SEO. So it's SEO for streaming, basically.
So to start at the beginning, can we say that today, if there's no metadata, there's no music. Music doesn't exist if there are some data related to a track, to an artist, to a cover album, etc., etc. Can we say that?
You want me to go?
No, I look at everybody.
Yes,
yeah.
We can say that. Yeah.
Pretty different. No, go for it.
Yeah, no, if we doesn't have any data, we can't collect the rights for the performing artist. So that's it already.
But before the question of money, there's no user experience, there's no
maybe
fans.
first
There's no listeners.
You can't even find the music you want to listen to, so there's no music at all.
I mean, I was just going to say, there's always been data in music on one way or another. I mean, thinking back to the beginning of recorded music, at least, I mean, you go into a record shop, you need to be able to see the name of the artist on a cover. That artist needs to be categorized by genre or by letter. So I think data and metadata has always been very, very present in music. And to your point, I think there's something like 100,000 songs released every day on DSPs. So the importance of metadata, the importance of finding things, creating that type of user experience is so much more important than ever before, just because the scale has gone up, I think.
But this morning, Pierre, you were in another panel, so there was this option, you have to clean your metadatas. It has been said 3 times this morning. You have to clean your metadatas. But what does it mean exactly to clean your metadatas? Well, because there's still record shops, but this is a niche.
Yes. And I would speak for the part I know when we talk about cleaning metadata is making sure that they are consistent enough to point in the right direction when it comes to algorithms, checking those metadata out and helping you and starting to connect the dots. So that's where you need to be consistent in order to be recommended to the right crowd. After that, I guess there would be other things, but at least my part of the business, I would say.
Yeah. David, maybe?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think one other thing on top of that, too, I mean, beyond the discovery piece is businesses making the right types of decisions based on data and metadata, too. So again, like what we do, I mean, we're producing anywhere from 3,500 to 4,000 pieces of music per year across a global A&R team and a roster of hundreds of artists. Making those types of decisions about what kind of music we should be acquiring based on how the creator economy is moving and evolving, what our customers are saying, what we're seeing across the DSP landscape. I mean, to that point of cleaned up metadata, I mean, without metadata, there's none of that. We've actually been embarking on a project over the last 6 or 8 months to, I think, 4x the amount of metadata that we're actually ascribing to every track. So beyond just the typical genre, subgenre, mood, I mean, first of all, amplifying that by crazy and getting much, much more granular, using things like the Music Brains taxonomy system is like a great reference point, but also ensuring that we have both AI tools and human tools that can do that metadata cleaning too. Because I think that's also something we've realized is that there's a certain point where like the tech and the data start to lose confidence, and that's where the human layer needs to meet it. So not only do we spend a lot of time thinking about and investing in the technology to deliver those cleaned up metadata results, but also like the human time, like the time for our A&R team, our curation team, me and my team sitting and listening and validating tags, basically, I think is super, super important.
Yeah, specifically on the question of moods, which is really important. This morning we were talking about health and the question of music related to the question of health. Is it a new challenge to go further in the question of moods?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, mood is one of those that's so subjective, and I think it's also subjective in the context. So like the context of health versus the context of matching music to video versus the context of soundtracking your studying experience or your train journey. And that's something that we really think about a lot too. And I mean, I think, there are like a lot of metadata tagging companies here, some of which we're really happily working with. And I think a big part of that, again, is like customizing to what the purpose of your catalog is or what the purpose of your search is and what the purpose of your metadata is. So again, going back to Mood and us, we're a very creator-centric company that needs to then translate creator needs to artists in terms of what music is working and what maybe they should be focusing on. That's how we look at Mood, through those lenses.
Today, Juliette, how many datas for one song, for one track? What's the level of datas?
You can have so many different types of data for just one song. I don't know. First you have the semantic data that are the very basics that you need to have to identify the song. Then you have all the identifiers. So we always talk about the ISRC that is super highly needed to identify correctly the song. And then you have maybe I couldn't say how many data you need, but the most important also is to link all the data together, and that's also a big challenge because the matching between all the different sources we can have that are sometimes incorrect, sometimes missing, is super important. And you need to know that this song is linked to this artist, and the credits are those guys that wrote the songs, and then you can add the lyrics. I don't know, like you can have so many things together, and we are creating new metadata like every year.
Yeah, and the today problem, the today challenge is maybe this question of standardization, because you have all your kind of data, or you're not all totally linked between you. You don't have the same framework. So who can provide this standardization?
It's a good question. You want to go first?
Yeah, we have this philosophy or not believing in one standard for everyone. It doesn't exist and it will never exist. It's impossible. What we can do is trying to link the best way we can all the different sources we have together to work together better and to have more transparency on the data we all have on our sites. But just one big database with one standard for everyone will never exist.
Recently, Robert Kinkle, CEO of Warner Music, said there's a need for a better collaboration between different sectors of the industry to solve those metadata challenges. But he didn't say who has to work. And at the beginning of the story, is this a question for the artists, the publishers, the labels, before the question of companies dedicated to data like a music story? Where does it start, the problem?
That's a good one.
I mean, probably at the beginning of that chain.
Exactly.
I think, right? I mean, it's from, fortunately or unfortunately, it is from the artist, I think. And I think it's, again, depending on what type of artist, depending on what type of music company ecosystem they're partnering with, I think there is a dance and a trade-off in terms of who's applying that metadata, who's accountable. I mean, metadata from a performer standpoint, for example, that used to be the provenance of a record producer. Like if you were producing a record, you were accountable for delivering to the label. These are the session musicians that played on it. These are the mixing engineers, so on and so forth.
But that's not happened.
Exactly, yeah. And
otherwise, my job will be easy.
Yeah. No, exactly. And now I think that's evolved to, I mean, again, like as we're trying to all tickle these different discovery engines, applying genre labels, mood labels, keyword tags, and things like that. So I think it depends like where the best input can come from.
Yeah, and it depends what you want. I mean, what do you want to get in return? I mean, if it's money, that's going to be how accurate it is, right? And is everybody paid according to their role and etc. And like you said, the job is poorly done sometimes, right? If you take that information, I mean, if you're looking at it from, let's say, a label point of view or a manager point of view, it also will be, how can I get more discovery? How can I get more algorithmic recommendation, more editorial recommendation? So that will be another way to look at data, to look at metadata, because it's going to be like, to what am I linked, right? What are the connections? And so just that is totally different, right? And so to come back to the question you were asking Juliette before, there's no standardization for that, because those are going to be different people with different needs, and that's going to be quite hard. At least you can understand what the end platform are using. That's what I was saying this morning, that maybe if you can at least understand how they will classify you and what's going to be, all the blanks to fill, that maybe makes it a little bit easier for the artist to, work proactively, right?
Yeah. But without data, so your music is something like a bottle in the sea, and there's no money. And if we go to your side, Laetitia, it's really a problem, I think. Neighboring rights and the question of data.
We need a lot of data. We need data of the usage. We need the data of the repertoire. First of all, the performing artist needs to know that he needs to be a member of a collective management organization. So that's the education, the communication part of things that we need to do. Or afterwards, they need to register the repertoire. that's all something that we are working on the SCAPER umbrella organization of all performing collective management organization to standardize something to that all CMO work on the same with the same data with the same metadata. So there are some system. IPD is one of our systems. So each performer need to know that he has an IPN, so an identifier of performing number. So that's something that the CMO are manage together. And we have also international database, VRDB, where we are trying to collect all the data.
Is Laetitia speaking a strange language for the audience? No, it's okay? Because it's something really specific. And you get a lot of problems because I've told about the artists, but the performers, they are worse than the artists. They don't know that they have to declare something and to be part of a system. And this is for the first problem. The question of communication, education. I don't know how we should say the thing. Yeah.
That's education. Yeah. That's also one of the role of the CMO is to educate the performing artists that they are aware that there are some rights for them. And also the difficulty is also that I'm a performing artist, but I'm also an author, and I'm also a composer, and also a producer, but I'm already at Sabam. Oh, it's fine. No, it's not fine. You need also to be, if you are performing on a track, you also need to be at Playright or another CMO. It's like you want.
So no data has no money. How money are we missing? Have we got an idea of what's the loss of the lack of standardization, the lack of knowledge? Can we have an idea of this?
Do you know it?
I don't know. I think that number is incalculable. But I also think, it's a very challenging question to answer. I think also too because you have so many different international actors that have their own different systems, whether it's a copyright owning company or a copyright management organization, which I think makes it even more important for artists, managers, and the music companies that partner with them to help understand how to best get the return that the artist wants in a sense. That's something that we've thought about a lot at Epidemic Sound. Our model's a bit unique in the sense of we pay a fixed fee up front to acquire 100% of the financial rights. We only work with writers that are outside of PROs, performers and producers that are outside of NROs. And part of the reason we do that is not only to deliver unprecedented reach for our artists, but also to simplify payment in a way where we know exactly what we're getting back from streaming services, for example. We can do a 50-50 split on royalties. We can design our own royalty system. Helene was mentioning yesterday that if she had to rewrite the agreements between the labels and the DSPs, she'd want a 50-50 split between master and pub, and that's something that we can do because we can design the royalty model there. And I think it's just about finding those opportunities to move away from a type of black box and trying to, again, do the best we can to create direct revenue opportunities for artists using data in a strong way.
And no data, no future. Because, and that's your job, Pierre. If you want to exist, if you want to have
future,
a future, you have to work on the question of predictability, to work on the question of
Well, basically, if you want to have a future, that if you want your career to last at least, until the next release or the next album, basically you need to have fans and you need to be discovered, you need to be listened to, and the middleman now between the user and the artist are those recommender system on DSPs. So you need to understand how they work in order to be able to get listened. So that may be a little bit extreme, the no future, but maybe a darker future if you have poor data. I would put it that way.
But also for your companies, do you need more and more data to exist? But a high level of data can create new problems.
Well, the more we get, the better on our end, at least.
Yeah, it's not the more, it's the better.
No, but the more we get, the better, because we can operate with public data. I mean, our system works with Spotify public API. We work with Chatmetric API, but I mean, if we can enrich the public data with private data, we're really happy to do so because it's unleash, the thing we can do, right? You can go much deeper that way.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I was about to say that it's not only about the quantity, it's also the quality, because you can have, I don't know, trillions of metadata extra if you want, but like if the quality is crap, you will do nothing with it and it's going to be useless.
What's a bad metadata?
If it's wrong, first.
Simply?
So, yeah, to start there, what else can I say? Yeah, it's there's also this discussion now about all the automatic metadata you can generate, and I don't think we can solve the problem just by thinking that now we can generate all the metadata we want in the world, and we have to combine like the expertise of like musicologists and humans knowing very well the music, and with the technology we can have, but like it goes together.
Yeah.
No, just wanted to say that, I mean, it's not convenient in our situation. I'm not saying you should do that or whatever. Let's be clear about that. But the way we operate is because we want to understand how people consume music, so you can understand why you listen by those guys, etc., etc. And we reverse engineer that. Basically, the data we get and we provide to our clients is basically the one we extract from consumption. For instance, you were talking about mood and context earlier. Basically what we do, we analyze the playlists that are very influential on some sub-audience, right? And from that, we are able to analyze the titles of those playlists. Basically, those are curated by the user who have created those playlists. So at the end of the day, you have an idea of, what mood or context is to be linked with an audience. So that will help you basically understand better what the journey of discovery.
And I was just going to say, I think part of data in the future is also about setting priorities, right? So that type of technique where you're trying to understand like share of playlist and like the mood and balance of playlist evolving works the same with genre, works the same with artists. I think for any music company to really be sustainable and for any artist to ensure that they have the right partners, it's first the responsibility of that business to understand what their priorities are, to understand what's working for them in the space, what's not working for them, and to invest intelligently. I mean, I think one of the downsides of that, especially like on the major label side, is all labels have gotten much more risk averse. I think data has made labels much more cautious about making signing decisions, about making artist retention decisions. But when it works, when a label can go to an artist and say, hey, you should sign with us, or a publisher says, hey, as a writer, you should sign with us because we know you're going to be successful because we have the data that shows that our repertoire that either sounds similar or is engaging with a similar type of fans is performing at this level, so we know we can invest in you. That to me is like the beautiful future. So using that to set priorities to create like a long-lasting future for everyone.
Do we have some question in the audience? Those are the microphone.
Thank you. Thanks for the nice insight. David, that was directed to you. I was wondering, because you said about guiding your community of creators on what to produce and when. How, if you can give any more details, how are you analyzing those trends? Are you giving incentives to those creators to produce more of that style, more of that genre, more of that instrument? How does it work?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm going to take those in the opposite order. So, I mean, for us and my team, the magic is an artist starts working with us. They are exactly who they are, and they just happen to wildly succeed in the creator economy. For that magic to happen, takes a ton of data analysis behind that. So we look at first-party data. So we have our own sync platform, epidemicsound.com, or app, or Adobe Premiere plugin, or whatever. So we can analyze our own customers' behavior through that. We can then prioritize different customer groups if that's something we want to do, see plays, see downloads, see playlist interaction, everything like that. And we also have a lot of third-party data coming back. I mean, those 2.5 billion views a day between YouTube and TikTok, as an example, both of those services have pretty decent content ID systems, so we can understand where our music was used, who it was by, what type of content it was soundtracking. And then on the streaming side too, I mean, our music gets about 10 billion streams a year, and we can use different tools, whether it's Chartmetric or the Spotify label API, to understand where that music was used. And then, like I was saying toward the end, it comes down to understanding how priorities are shifting, how our customers in particular, and the wider creator economy within soundtracking video, and also in more particular, is looking to use music in the future. And then it's kind of translating those needs to musical needs to artists into an A&R team. And from there, it's like making decisions like any other record label. So it's understanding if an artist's music is performing, it's using forecasts to understand where do we have more opportunities to sign in certain regions or certain styles of music, where we need to dial things back. And again, try to be that, like, for us at least, being that very equitable partner where we shouldn't be signing an artist if we can't essentially guarantee their success in our ecosystem.
Thank you.
Questions? So, for you, I've talked about standardization. What other challenges now for you, both of you, all of you? Juliette?
AI.
AI?
Of course.
Say more.
No, yeah, and how we use it as so we work with music editors to produce our own data, to enrich our own catalog. And we use data to help them to go faster and better, and it helps them, to, for example, I don't know, like select the artist images or translate biographies of artists, etc. So we have a concrete usage of AI right now, and it helps us produce even more metadata.
And better.
And no, same quality. But
Same quality.
but yeah, way much more.
Laetitia, the latest challenge now?
Latest challenge, improving our repertoire to have for all tracks, all performing artists. I know for me a unique database is maybe a solution, maybe not the best solution, but if that will be existing, it will be better for me. But yeah, that's the biggest challenge. But AI can help us, hopefully, in the future.
But now it doesn't help you. You don't use it.
For the moment, not locally, but internationally, we already use that. Yes.
Yeah. And you're really relevant to in an international level to work with.
But we are doing that with all the collective management organization under the umbrella of SCAPAR. So SCAPAR is the umbrella organization of all collective management organization, and there we are working together. So in the past, it was the exchange of rights was one by one. Now it's all CMOs upload their repertoire, so there are some standardization, but for example, the ISRC's code, we don't have them, so we need to receive them. We also do some web crawling to take those information from Apple Music, for example, to inject that afterwards in our repertoire to have a better metadata and better data in our system, yes.
David?
That's the goal.
Challenges of now?
Challenges, it's a good question. I think it's understanding data and generating both insights and actions at a higher quality. I mean, so for us, like, the more people that use our music, the more data we're getting in, the amount of people that we have to understand how to interpret that data isn't increasing. So we're really leaning on technology, on data science, on different AI tools to help us understand not only what our community and our customers are saying, but also what we should be doing about that. Because I think that's been a big missing piece that I've been really trying to double down on at Epidemic Sound since I joined is not only saying, okay, there's this challenge or there's this new trend appearing, but okay, like what do we do about that? And I think making those insights and those actions smarter and more targeted toward, again, to artists, so by the time they get it, it feels like magic. So we're working a lot in terms of how we can develop that value chain and make it more efficient and more accurate.
We definitely talk, well, that's before after, about challenges for us. I briefly said it this morning, YouTube is going to be a huge one for us. We are on Spotify, these are DSPs, like audio DSPs, and the next step for us is how do you include video in the approach, and yeah, that's going to be very exciting, but it's a huge challenge because the complexity is higher.
So this talk, because Pierre looks interested to talk with you, David, means that
well, that's exactly what we can do. So yeah.
But you've got all same and different challenges. It looks like that. So I came back to my first question, one of my questions, and this quote of the CEO of Warner. So why do you work together more together?
I think we need to all talk together.
So is it only a question of business? Is it a question of the narrative of your companies, more on the tech side, more on the artistic side? Why? Is it a question of language between you?
It's a good question. I mean, I will say, like, we do work with a lot of third-party providers when it comes to understanding our catalog and different ascribing, not so much contributor metadata, because we control that because we commission all of our music, but more of like the qualitative metadata on top of that. But you do have a good point. I mean, I think all of us have the exact same challenges where there's a shit ton of music coming out and we need to like figure out how to get it in order so the right people get paid and we can incentivize things correctly. But I also think culturally, I mean, it's also overcoming the fact that there are soft incentives for some music companies not to improve in a way and to stay in silos. And that's very much, looking inward as well. So I think it's very much like doing things like this and really building those bridges and understanding, like you mentioned, we do all have the same challenges. We do all see the same opportunities. And we probably don't need to reinvent the wheel twice or thrice. We could do it once.
Yeah.
So I understand that a lot of companies like yours are trying to build a general library or like together of basic music metadata. How do you guys feel about open source capabilities for something like that? Because for me, it's also applicable. I'm the founder of Mixlog, so we create DJ software and we also try to do some matchmaking. But I feel that there should be something that all companies can have access to, which is like the basic data, like a song has artist, formats, performing artist, ISRC code, EN codes, where it's available, like you can find it there.
No, but never. It's not existing.
Yeah, and I'm actually working on this because I want to use it for my own app, and we call it TuneLog, and it's a whole project in itself, and it's so complicated. But I was wondering, do you guys have an opinion about like having an open source big library for everyone to, yeah.
I was talking about the question of language. Open source is maybe a language, common language.
I would love that.
But Pierre, I've seen that you react on this question of open source.
I mean, that would be great. I mean, that would make our lives way easier.
I think
but will it happen? Not that sure.
Who's going to do it?
Yeah, exactly. Who's going to? Yeah, you're going to.
I mean, I'm working on it, but my question is mostly like. Who's willing to like work with, like to join in on the party to create this like standardized library for everyone, like, and also I believe that one song or musical work, for example, this song original mix, It can be in different formats, so it can be on vinyl, tape, CD, who cares, digital, streaming. We should like unify all of the assets that this one work has, so that every single unique piece of music has one data entry to start with.
That's what we are doing in our daily work. It's a clean up playlist and also with Scapper, our umbrella organization, with VRDB. So it's an international database. The final ID is that in all collective management organizations, the same VRDB ID is linked to the same work with all the performers.
Yeah. And for the record, I also...
Excuse me, just to add, so it's a close international database, but we are already open it to other CMOs that are not into the Scapper, like Sound Exchange, IFMs, but that's for the actors, and also Universal Music is now also working on, and they are adding IPNs, so the IPN identified performer number in their catalogus. So maybe that's the future for us.
Thank you. I just want to add to that. There is the basic music data that I'm talking about, the metadata. And I just want to say, like, we should totally separate it from everything else concerning music data, like engagement, social interactions, because that's what a lot of companies are built on. So it's not the plan is not to kill these companies. It's to help everyone thrive and find actually the basic stuff that we need. So I think open source is the way to go, and I'm happy to hear that you like mostly agree. Thanks.
I look at the 5 minutes. So okay, so guys, when I came back at my hotel this night, I wrote a hit song. It's called "You've Got to Fight for Your Right to Eat Belgian Waffles." What is your advice as an artist, as a performer? I am my own publisher. What I have to do to exist?
What's your artist name?
Laurent.
BC Laurent? Okay. Just wanted to make sure. I don't know. You got to tell me what you do, what the music sounds like. We'll need to know more about it, but basically, yeah. I mean, your title might be a bit confusing, I would say. So,
you tell an artist, no, it's not good? The title,
I would never do that.
No, you will never do that. No. So what are your advices, your daily advices to artists?
I mean, most of the time when they come to us, the title's already decided, artist name already decided, and we don't tell people what they should do when it comes to A&R, when it comes to marketing. I mean, career development in the music industry has been there forever. We know that. What we're trying to tell people is basically what the algorithmic impact of a decision is going to be. So if you want to use that track name, basically you might make it harder for yourself that if you choose something that is less comparable to an existing work, I would say.
If we meet next year, so AI is a future, but will we have a new type of discussion in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years? Crystal ball. Can we look at it?
But yeah, data is a never-ending topic anyway. I mean, it's food for any digital services, so it's going to always be there and with new challenges all the time. And for example, I don't know, the moods are getting bigger
and this morning
bigger,
we were talking about health and music. Is it on this part of the business? Is it a business for you? And on the question of data, mood is related to health, but we can go maybe further on the description.
Yeah, I mean, I think data will make any sort of consumer experience more positive, or any type of interaction with music more positive in a way that any search engine, whether it's a DSP or a sync platform or an app or something, will get a lot better at servicing the right music content at exactly the right time. So I think we'll see a lot more engagement across whatever types of digital services people are engaging with music on because of the power of data. And I think it's just going to get smarter, and it's just going to make for a much, much more positive, effective use of music over time.
That's a good end. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.